Hi, welcome to my YouTube. Today I'm going to show you how to modernize your Type 81 rifle from traditional to tactical by adapting VZ-58 furniture, namely Fab Defense. Why adapt? Well, that is because the Type 81 rifle is relatively new in Canada and there's not many in the Western world, so no one is actually making accessories for them other than the quad rail from Polytech. Since I'm not willing to wait, and these were spares left over from the impending prohibition of my CZ-858, I decided to use them. I'd like to mention that this rifle was not harmed during the modification. As you can see, this rifle already been modified and it reverted back in a matter of minutes. Now I've seen other modification on the forum whereby people are adapting AK grips to their Type 81 rifle, which is not that easy to do because the top part of the AK is more square and the top part of the Type 81 grip is more oval, and so the retaining plate either has to be heavily modified or removed altogether to make this fit. Now I saw on the forum another fella. He managed to adapt a Romanian lower handguard to his Type 81, which I thought was ingenious because the AK lower handguard is about an inch shorter than the Type 81. What he did is that he punched out the pin for the furrow and moved it back an inch and then repinned it, and that's how he managed to adapt the lower handguard of an AK to fit his Type 81. Hats off to him. Now I've already field stripped this to save time. I'm going to show you how to remove the grip, the lower handguard, separate the wood from the metal, and remove the folding stock altogether. After that, I will show you how to modify these Fab Defense's furniture. So let's begin. Before I begin, I want you to read the disclaimer attached to this video. Now, to remove this grip, it's very simple. Use either a Phillips or a straight edge and unscrew this screw at the bottom of the grip. Now sometime it might stick. If that's the case, apply acetone to the nut or WD-40 and let it sit overnight. There. Now retain this nut because you need to use that again. And this is the grip retaining plate. To remove the lower handguard, remove this screw with a straight edge. Again, if it's difficult, then apply some sort of acetone or even WD-40 and let it sit overnight, and this screw should come out. Now keep the screw because you need to use this again with the new furniture. Now I've read quite a few people have difficulty removing this lower handguard and the easiest way to do it is to use a wooden block like this. Place it on top of the handguard, closer to the chamber, and with a mallet, tap both sides like this, or your palm, and it should come out. Now, to remove this wood from the top handguard, from the metal, there are 3 rivets. I use one of them fell out when I used a punch. The other two, I had to drill it out. They're really three tiny rivets. Now if Tactical Imports is listening, I would ask them to ask Polytech, instead of using rivets, to use screws, so it'll be easy for us to change the top handguard. So this furrow moves forward like this, and the wood slides out like this. Now to remove the stock, the folding stock, unscrew this first. And then, using a flashlight, look into the left cheek rest, and there is a locking plate. Use a screwdriver to lower down the locking plate, and this should pop up. To remove the right cheek rest, there's also a locking plate. Use a screwdriver and push the lower part of the plate inwards, and that should come out. Slide the cleaning kit spring. Now I have already, you will see 4 rivets. It might even be 8. I had to drill them out. Now if Tactical Imports is listening, please have Polytech, instead of using rivets, to use screws. It'll be easy for us to remove the stock, and the stock just slides out like this. And that's it. And that's how you remove the traditional furniture from your Type 81. Next thing I'm going to do is show you how to modify the Fab Defense furniture. So the first thing I modify is the grip, because that's the easiest, and then I'm going to do the lower handguard, the top handguard, and then the stock. With the grip, all you need to do is take off about 1/16 of an inch to the top side in here, and taper it from the bottom to the top, about 1/16 of an inch. Just remove it, and that's all it is. The shape of the top of the grip is identical to this, so that fits perfectly. So all you have to do is hold the screw with a screwdriver and put it in like this. Now it helps to put the nut in if you didn't have the safety in place. So take the nut and put it over the screw like this, and then start tightening. Close the cover, nice and snug. As you can see, it's a perfect fit to the grip retaining plate, and It's not moving anywhere. Now you can now put in back the selector. Oh, I might as well show you what it looks like inside. Okay, selector's in. The next thing I do is show you how to modify the lower hand grip. Now, I had to put in a copper plate. The copper plate is about 1/3 of the circumference, and then I used 2 screws to hold it in place, and I had to drill a hole for the existing screw. Now, because this existing screw is not long enough, I had to drill this deeper, and I had to bend this plate so it could hold the plate in place. So yes, this also acts like a heat shield. Okay, so this copper plate is about 7 inches long, about 1/3 of the circumference, and place it about less than 1/8 from the front. Screw it in 2 places, hold it in. Of course you can't see it because of this grip, this angle grip. Bend it right about there and have the holes drilled through. So this is how it sits in the rifle. You put this in the front, hold it in place. Oh, and you also will need to modify the back. You don't need to modify the front of the Fab grip, but you need to modify the back because it's a little large, and just basically shaving it off to making it fit. So put this in an angle. There. And now put the screw in. Okay, so this is what the lower handguard looks like. No modification in the front, only to the back tab to make room to go into that space. The length is fine, it's exactly the same length, and it looks pretty good. This is what the front looks like. It's level with the ferrule. And this is what the back looks like. This is the existing Type 81 screw, and this is what the inside looks like. Okay, the next thing is to do to adapt the top handguard to the metal. And what you need to do is shave both sides in a straight line. This is what it looks like. You have to take about 1/16 off. I use a razor blade, and then I follow up with a file, and you have to do the same for the back. Okay, and I also had to remove the 2 tabs over here because it was in the way. Okay, but that's the only mod I had to do, and it will fit the back quite nicely like this. Okay, now the front I had to re-drill 2 holes to hold the handguard in place, like this. Okay. And I'm going to use a rivet gun to hold the ferrule in place, like this. There. That's what the inside looks like. This is what the outside looks like. I can spray paint that and make it fit pretty good. And I'm going to do it to the other one. Okay. Okay, so this is what the 2 inside looks like, and I'm gonna spray paint these 2 rivets black, and this top handguard is now pretty well locked in place. Now the next thing is probably the most difficult, is the stock. Luckily, all I had to do is modify the buffer tube, which is probably pretty cheap to replace if I need to. I made basically 4 cuts to allow for screws to go in, like this. Like that. So I'm going to first put the screws in first. I'm going to put 2 lower ones. Oh, actually, it's best to put the, yes, it's actually good to put the heads on the right side, because when you fold it, it won't interfere with the folding. I'm going to tighten these screws a little tighter. Remember not to over tighten them, then you're going to bend the screws. There it is. It's quite solid and has no issue with folding, and it's adjustable. Okay, now I know it looks a little weird with the shiny screws, so what I'm going to do is just basically I can spray paint it along with the rivets, or I could just use electrician tape. And just cover it up for now. Yep. will be painting this black. Okay, so let's assemble this together. Now I better go get show you guys what it looks like that it's all fully assembled. The magazine goes in, followed by my red dot. Locked in place, and there you have it. My Type 81 in a tactical furniture. Now it's important when I'm using the POSP scope to get a proper eye relief. So this butt is adjustable for about 4.5 inches for eye relief purposes. And this butt also folds. Okay, it's hard to reach the trigger when it's folded, but it can be done, and I can quickly flip it from safety to fire with just a flip of the thumb like this. Here's safe, this is fire, and I can reach the trigger, although not quite comfortable, but I can. Maybe if I would actually extend the stock. That's it. Now it feels a lot better. Now I can still use it with the stock folded. So this is what it looks like. My Type 81 rifle in a tactical furniture. Please subscribe. Thank you for joining me.